previous video, I spoke about a mass being hung on a spring while there is no movement, and then we add small masses one after the other and the spring becomes longer bit by bit. But there is always stillness in between, so there is no continuous motion. So I was hoping that you would imagine this scenario and try to picture it in your head or even draw it for yourself. And now I would like to do it with you. So how did you do it? I'll show you how I do it. First of all, let's start with this nice ceiling. This is our ceiling. And here we have a little hook hanging from the ceiling. And on this hook, we have a spring. We think of the spring as being massless. And on this string, we start attaching masses. So let's start with a small mass. And let's say this mass denoted by the letter little m. And we're going to add masses that are identical to this one. So right now the spring is not moving and the mass is not moving, nothing is moving. Why? Because the force that gravity applies on this mass is identical to the force that the spring is acting on it. Now if we were to add a little mass, supposing if the mass is small enough and the spring is strong enough, then both these masses would be placed right about here at a certain distance. We can call this distance delta of x. And if we put another little mass, so here we already have 2m. Put another little mass 3m, another little mass 4m, and in between we're allowing the system to stabilize and stop moving. And we can see that these differences in delta x in length are always the same. And this teaches us that the force that the spring is activating on the mass is actually proportional to the change in its length. So every time the spring is acting a stronger and stronger force on these masses, accumulating masses, and this stronger and stronger force is always increased by the same amount because we're adding the same mass. And it changes by the same length, as long as the masses are small and the spring is strong. So this teaches us on the behavior of springs, and it's called a linear behavior. Okay, so this is a mass hanging on a spring without movement.